Alrighty. Alrighty. Turn that guy off. And we shall begin. Okay, hear me and rejoice. You have had the great privilege of being saved by the great Titan Thanos. You may think that this is suffering, but no, this is salvation. The universal scales tip towards balance because of your sacrifice. So smile, because even in death, you are all children of Thanos. What's good, people? That's how we kicking it off today with the Thanos. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My name is Brian Redmond, and I am on the United Guns of America channel. So look, we're going to do it a little different today. I wanted to go ahead and dive right in. I know it's halftime. Everybody's watching the game. Golden State and Houston, they going at it. I think it's a great game. I think this is going to be probably the best series of the season so far, man, because these guys are going at it. I'm liking this. I was definitely watching. So I'm going to go ahead and just do this quick thing for halftime, because I know some people like me, I get tired of halftime. I get tired of hearing people saying the same old stuff every time. They got to do this, Ernie. If they don't get the defense, or they got to let Steph shoot in the first 20 seconds. I'm tired of it. Just let these boys play ball. And man, I just want to come and do this real quick. So shout out to everybody that's coming through, that's watching this. If this is your first time, if this is your last time, I hate for that to happen, but if you've never seen this before, click the like button, click the subscribe, and send this to somebody who ain't never synced it. Yes, I said synced. S-E-E-S-E-E-N-T. Synced. Yeah, but who haven't seen it, let's just spread the channel. It's growing. I appreciate everybody who's been supporting so far. So what I wanted to talk about today was I wanted to give my views on the Texas Santa Fe High School shooting. And the reason why I wanted to do this was because I really just wanted to point out some really key things that I don't think a lot of people may either take notice of or the mass media will not point out. So that's why I'm here, because this is an opportunity for me to make America great again. So that's what I'm going to do as an American. Yes, sir, because I'm not an American. I'm an American. That's right. So what I wanted to do was I just wanted to talk about some of the things that I thought were really important about this shooting. First and foremost, the shooting in itself is, of course, as all shootings are, not just mass shootings, but just all shootings, it is a tragedy. Plain and simple. And I think that because this is happening more frequently and it's constantly happening, we are getting really desensitized to this. And what that the bad thing about that too is that we are now just getting into the political agenda side of this, as opposed to actually trying to resolve or to lessen these shootings. So that's another reason why I'm doing this video. So for those of you who don't know, just real brief, this was a active shooter. You had a teenager who went to a school. The school he went to, he actually came in and he was armed, had on a trench coat, and basically he killed 10 people. He killed 8 students, 2 teachers. I believe a police officer was wounded as well, and there were about, I think, another 10 people that were injured too. So overall, there were roughly around 20 or so people that were injured, and like I said, 10 of them actually died. So which is, like I said, it's a tragedy. So some of the things about this is that I wanted to point out, because a lot of people are chalking all shootings, especially all mass shootings or active shootings, they're chalking them all up to gun control. They're trying to put that into any shooting that happens. You know, I get mad, I go into a grocery store and I shoot 4 people, it's a gun control problem. I wake up, I didn't take my meds this morning, I go down to the swap meet, I kill 15 people, It's a gun control problem, and that's the thing that everybody's trying. That there's a narrative that's constantly being told about this that I want to help stop, because I think that that's really important. I think that there are too many people that are losing their lives to this type of violence, and for us not to say anything about it or try to actually correct the problem as opposed to serving someone's political agenda for whatever reason, I think that's a true disservice that we're doing to people. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure that I brought these points out. So first and foremost, one of the biggest things was that we're talking about just the gun control and mental health issues. That's what I'm pretty much weighing. And one of the things about this shooting is that the guns that were used in this shooting, they were legal. These were legal guns. These guns were, purchased by the shooter's father. And one of the things you will notice is that I really try not to use active shooters' names, because I believe that serves part of their purpose. So you will not hear me refer to this person as their name. I'm going to refer to the person as the active shooter. So that's one of the things about this, is that this was purchased, the guns that were used were legally purchased, legally owned. There was nothing special about the guns. There were no specific modifications to the guns. These were just regular guns, just like the greater majority of most firearms that are used in active shooter situations that were used. The other thing was that the type of gun that was used, it was a shotgun. Let me say that again. It was a shotgun. I'm going to say that one more time. It was a shotgun and a handgun. Shotgun, handgun. And the handgun was a .38 Special revolver. One more time. A shotgun and a .38 Special handgun, which is a revolver. Or as some people might know, some of your old school cats might know as a 6-shooter, where the guy come out and pew, 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 pew. It was one of them. Alright, so that's what was used. .38 Special was also like a standard police officer issue handgun way back in the day. That's what most police officers, FBI agents, that's what they usually carry, was a .38 Special. So that's what was used in this. And I really don't like the fact that, that gun control is just being put at the forefront of this, because this to me is not a gun control issue. This is a mental health issue. This is a social issue. And here's why I'm going to say that. One of the things that the kid talked about as far as why he did what he did was that the things that were brought up about it was that the kid was actually just a fairly normal kid. He wasn't in the in crowd, but he was your normal teenager for the most part. He just had some social issues, and those social issues pushed him to the edge, in my opinion, just from what I've heard and the information that I've received and that I've looked up. So you're talking about your average kid. Kid was on a football team. Kid, actually, they say he was a pretty decent football player, whatever. I'm sure he had maybe a small array of friends. Like I said, he wasn't one of the most popular kids. And with that being said, you think about that kid, and that's how most of us are. Most of us are either in the in crowd or trying to get in the in crowd on that little outer ring, or you're outcast. And there's so many of us that are outcasts, so many of us that are trying to get into that inner circle that don't make it. And that's a huge social issue, because what tends to happen is those kids that are in that inner circle, those kids that are in that popular crowd or whatever, they're the ones that usually are the ones that are poking fun at the others, and so on and so forth. They're the ones that are ostracizing and embarrassing the outcasts and things like that. So I think that's a huge social issue. This kid was actually bullied, not by just his fellow students, but also by teachers. The kid, they said that the kid was talked about as far as how he dressed, his body odor, the way that he, just acted. I mean, and some kids are just weird. Some people don't act normal. Some people don't do what everybody else does. They find their own way in life, which should be their right. And the fact that this kid suffered because of that, I think is a problem. If our kids are suffering to the point to where other kids make fun of them because of what they're dressing, because of, whatever hygiene issues they may have or any other social issues that they may have, I think that if we're at a point to where there are adults that are allowing these children to be treated this way and that are watching this go by and or even participating in it, I think that there's a huge problem with how we let children behave, especially in our schools, on a social level. Now, if you're talking about being somewhere in the streets, you're talking about being somewhere out in the world or whatever, that's totally different because you can't control all of those things. But in a school, you absolutely can. You absolutely can. And that's a resource problem. That's not having resources available for those kids. And I'm not just saying resources available for a kid who's getting bullied or a kid who's being talked about. No, I'm saying there should be resources there that should be able to intervene and talk to these kids and explain to them what it is they're doing and why they shouldn't be doing it. And yes, they should be reprimanded for it to a degree. If you have a kid that is being bullied like that and that kid is constantly being terrorized, somebody needs to step in. Plain and simple. And the fact that we don't think that that's an issue or that's a problem is why I'm saying what I'm saying today. Another thing is that the kid and not just this particular kid, but kids in general that take on this active shooter mentality, they are not doing this because they can get their hands on guns. They're doing this because it is their way to cry out or express themselves to society about their social issues and about the mental issues that they may have. So if I'm having I'm struggling mentally and I'm having some issues and I'm having problems with my, my day-to-day, just making it, whether I'm depressed, whether I'm schizophrenic, whatever the case may be, if I don't have anybody there that I can reach out to get help from, if I don't have anybody who's intervening with the situation that I'm currently in, then if I have somebody constantly pushing at me, poking at me, you poke the bear long enough, the bear's going to attack. And when you have that, you have people that get to the edge, and everybody doesn't always just fall over. Everybody just doesn't always say, okay, you pushing me, you're talking about me, you're embarrassing me, you're doing all this stuff to me every day, and I'm just taking. Sometimes they say, you know what? Let me start plotting my revenge. Let me start planning how I'm going to let them know how I feel. I'm going to express myself by going to my school, and I'm going to kill those that ridicule me every day. Because for one moment, they are all going to be in total fear of me. And when you think about the mindset of a teenager that gets to that point, that's somebody who's been pushed to the edge. It's like the guy who has the job, who gets treated like crap day in and day out, and then just out of the blue gets fired for some reason because of some scale back, and he's like, I've taken your crap all these years and I'm the first one fired. Okay, you've taken everything away from me that I've had that's worth anything. Let me repay you. And that's why you have the guy come back to work and shoot up the place. So it's like there are things that we do to each other that go unchecked, and when you push somebody to their breaking point, they break. There's no telling what they would do. And it don't matter if you have an illegal gun, if you have a legal gun, if you got a knife, a rock, a stick, a bat, it doesn't matter. They're going to push back at some point. And the thing now is that this has become something of this has become the new thing to do. And because of that, that's why you have people, even when you're talking about overseas, you have people doing stabbings. You have people driving cars through crowds. So it's not a thing of necessarily gun control. This is a mental issue. This is about society. This is about the way that we treat each other. And that's one of the biggest things that I wanted to drive home about this. One of the other key things that I wanted to drive home about this entire situation is that there was no AR-15 involved. And that in itself should not make this situation more or less important. And I think that had it been one involved, everybody who's on this whole gun control kick would have been like, see, another AR-15. See, that's what we keep talking about. But you see that there was no AR-15 involved, and we still had 10 people dead. And my point that I'm making with that is, it shouldn't matter if it's 10, if it's 40, or if it's 1. They should all be looked at as the same. It should not matter how many people are dying at a random shooting or from an active shooter. It should matter that somebody died from an active shooter. Plain and simple. And you take that across the board. Even when we talking about the so-called black and white shootings. It shouldn't matter if a white police officer shoots a black person. It should matter that a police officer shot a person. It shouldn't matter if Ray shot Tyrone. It should just be that a person got shot, which should be the point. That should be the focus. So whether it's 10 people that die in Chicago on the South Side on a Friday night, that shouldn't be less than the cop in Evanston who kills a black person from a traffic stop, because we'll take to the streets and march for that guy. But we won't say anything, and we'll accept the 10 that died on a Friday night in Chicago because the weather was nice over in the Argyle Gardens. That's cool. That's my point. It shouldn't matter. It should all matter, period. It shouldn't be this one over that one. This one's more important because it was done by this color person than it was with this person. This was done by this person who's in this position or this job than this other person who's just a street thug or a gangbanger or a drug dealer or an innocent bystander. Should not matter. Last but not least, my last 2 points is that there needs to be a focus, because I'm all about the solutions, right? There needs to be a focus and a true focus and just push for our politicians. Hear me. Our politicians, we need to put the pressure on them to get whatever financial budgets they have to get together or get straight on the government side to actually provide more mental health resources for all of us, for all people, all Americans, everybody that's here. We need more mental health resources. That's our #1 problem. We have too many. Think about it like this, and not just looking at it from an active shooter perspective. Think about how many people you know personally that need mental health. Think about how many people you know personally in your family, living in your house, living next door, living across the street, hell, maybe even sleeping in your bed, that needs some type of professional mental help. And why can't they get it? Because they don't have enough insurance? Why can't they get it? Because they don't have the resources available? That's stuff that our government should be taking care of. Because at the end of the day, we all pay taxes so that our government can provide us and take care of the resources that we need as a people. And at the end of the day, when we have those type of things, where we can spend trillions of dollars on other things that we need, billions of dollars of other things that we want, and millions of dollars of other things we probably shouldn't even have, we can definitely find the money to get our mental health resources shored up to the point to where they can actually service these people that need it. Because when you think about those people that are just sitting on the bus stop, those people that are sitting on the L stations, sitting at the train stations, sitting outside a store, sitting outside of a restaurant, walking around, hanging out, have nowhere to go, whether they're in front of a liquor store, it shouldn't matter. The fact that they're not trying to kill somebody still doesn't mean that they don't need help. The fact that they're not out here trying to mass murder 10 or 20 or 30 different people with a shotgun or a handgun or a rifle or a cannon or whatever the case may be, that should not be the thing they need to do to cry for help. We should be there for them, and our government should definitely be making that happen. Plain and simple. That's their job. So, my other thing too, and my last point is this, is that I believe that schools should have classes for students and talk about how to deal with social issues, how to speak up for themselves, or speak to adults about social issues that they're having. So those kids that go and take gym, English, science, math, volleyball, whatever the case may be, they taking chemistry, algebra, all of that stuff. There should be a class where kids have to go, like homeroom or whatever, like kids have to go, and they talk about socializing. They talk about things aside from, and this should be a class where you can't have no cell phones, you can't be on your Twitter or nothing, but just learning how to interact with each other, learning how to express yourself, learning how to listen to each other, learning how to speak to each other. Because I believe that the communication piece in our country is another huge problem. We don't know how to communicate, especially when we disagree. If you ain't on when I'm on, you my enemy. And that's absurd that we think that way. And that's exactly how it is. If I'm not supporting your agenda, I'm a whatever you are phobe. That's ridiculous. And that's the thing that we need to go after. We need to change. We need to be able to make ourselves better by literally doing things to make ourselves better. And we as a country, we have this thing where we talk about it, and we talk about it, and we try to say, do this and do. What are we actually going to start doing to make ourselves be better? And that's where it starts. I hope that this is something that people will hear, people will watch, people will see and say, well, damn, maybe this guy has a point. We need to start doing things and talking to each other to make things better, even and especially when we disagree. I should want to hear somebody even more who disagrees with what I'm saying. I should want to talk to somebody in depth when they disagree with me. Because maybe, just maybe, I can learn something from them and they can learn something from me that can help us bridge that gap. Because it's definitely, you got two people on one side, on this side and that side. Yes, it's very hard for one person to try to build a bridge over to this person's side when both people can build a bridge together and meet in the middle. Because once that bridge has been completed, now you can have people come from both sides and you can actually make things better that way. You can open it up to where it's not just one person going against this person and going against that person. Our country, we as Americans, we should not be divided as a country simply because of the CEO of our country. The president should not be able to divide us, regardless of who he or she may be. So the fact that you have a president that is in office that you don't like, that should not deter you from being able to make not just who you are, but your environment, your area, your other people that are around you better. And if you think that that's your problem, if you think that the president of the United States is your problem right now and what's wrong with you and what you're doing in your life right now, you have a lot of work to do, ma'am or sir. So, I know everybody want to get back to this game. So do I. It's already started. It's like almost deep into the third. I'm sorry, but I had to get this out. I hope that this makes somebody really just open up their eyes and begin to be a better version of themselves. I hope that this begins to start the conversation about real social issues and the mental health issues that we're having in our country. Thank you to everybody that has supported. Thank you to everyone who stopped by. Click the like, hit the like button, share button, post it on your Facebook, your Instagram. Do something. Give it to somebody, people. But also, let me just check and make sure if I get any donations. I do want to shout them out real quick. Just because they took the time to give to me, I got to give it on back to them and say thank you. Yes, I do. Thank you. Well, let me make sure I can say the name. Yes, I want to send a shout out to John Belcher. Thank you so much, sir, for your donation. I appreciate you. Hey, man, thank you guys so much for checking me out. Thank you guys. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. I'm sorry I couldn't shout y'all out today. I wanted to try something different, do a show that was quick and to the point. We're going to see how it goes. I love you guys, and remember, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. I am Brian Redmond. This is the United Guns of America. Peace, and I'm out. Do, 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 do.